Today, security testing is often treated as a separate activity done late, manually, or sometimes not done at all. And that is too risky.
In this video, I'm going to show you how you can integrate OWASP ZAP security scanning directly into your Selenium automation framework so that security become a part of your regular test execution, not an afterthought. We will see how Selenium can drive the application like a real user, while ZAP silently intercept traffic and scan for vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, security misconfiguration, and other common OWASP risks. The best part of this video is you don't need to be a security expert to get started. This works perfectly in CI/CD pipeline and it adds huge value with very little extra effort. By end of this video, you will clearly understand how ZAP works with Selenium, how to run automated ZAP scan, and how tester can contribute to application security early in the software development lifecycle. So if you are a QA engineer, automation tester, or someone curious about shifting security left, you are in the right place. If this kind of practical real-world testing content is useful for you, welcome to the test story automation from strategy to execution. Here we focus on hands-on automation, security testing, and modern QA practices. If this video is helping you, please hit the like button. It really supports the channel. Subscribe for more content on Selenium framework, OWASP ZAP, AI in testing, and CI/CD ready automation. And turn on the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming videos. All right, let's continue with today's topic and move ahead with the ZAP scan setup. Okay, so this is ZAP application I downloaded from OWASP website. For those who are new to it, OWASP ZAP is an open source security testing tool widely used to identify common web application vulnerabilities. It works by intercepting application traffic and passively or actively scanning for security issues while your tests are running. Alright, let me quickly show you the official ZAP API Client documentation. This page is extremely important if you are planning to integrate ZAP into your automation framework. It contains all the essential details on how to set up, configure, and run ZAP scan. I strongly recommend everyone to go through this website at least once because it contains lot of information on how ZAP exposes API that we can consume from our test framework. You will see that it provides ready-to-use sample code for multiple languages like Java, Python, and even shell scripts. This makes integration very flexible no matter what tech stack you are using. At high level, we will need proxy information like port number, host, and ZAP API key. This API key we will get from the ZAP application running on our system. This target URL is the URL against which we want to run our ZAP scans. Once these details are configured, the system will route traffic through ZAP and ZAP will take care of scanning the application for security issues in the background. We will use these exact details in our Selenium framework in next step. Now let me walk you through the Selenium framework that we will be using for this demo. This framework is built using the page object model design pattern, which help keep the code clean, modular, and easy to maintain. At high level, it has a base class that handles common setup and configuration for the test, page classes where all the UI locator and page specific action are defined, test classes that contain the actual test scenarios, and few utility classes. All the required dependencies are already added in the form.xml, including Selenium TestNG. Okay, to control which test we need to execute, the framework uses a testng.xml file. It allows us to easily exclude or include test suite without changing the code. And finally, running the test is very simple. From the terminal, we just execute maven test. This will trigger the TestNG execution. Selenium will start interacting with the application, and then we will include ZAP to intercept the traffic and for security scanning, which we will see in next action. Alright, to start we will need two things. One is ZAP application that we can download from their official website, zapproxy.org. Download this application and install in your system. We will need API key from this application to use in our automation framework. The next thing is dependency for ZAP API client that we will get from Maven repository. So go to Maven repository and search for ZAP API client. Okay, so this is the ZAP API client. You can go to the version and copy the dependency. Fine. So this dependency we will include in our form.xml. Okay, let me copy this and paste in our dependency in form.xml. Fine. All right. So we will need proxy configuration that we will define in our config properties. Okay, so I have config properties already, so I will include some information like host, port, and API key. Also, I will include in this configuration and will read in whenever we need it. Okay. Okay, fine. So I'm starting with ZAP configuration. So let me fine. So what we will need host. Okay, and that will be local host. Fine. The next thing is port. Fine. Then the next thing is API, ZAP API. So I will need API from the application. For this, we need to launch our ZAP application and get the API key. Okay, so go to tools, options, and you can search for API, and this is API key. You can copy this API key and use in your framework. Fine. So I have copied this and I'm pasting this in configuration properties. Fine. Save this. So now I am going to create a Java utility that will configure the API, then run the active scan, then create a HTML report. Fine. So I am going to create a Java class under utils folder, and this I will name it ZAP util. Fine. That is Java class. Okay. So under this, I will create API configuration along with the proxy, and then we'll create a method to run active scan, then a method to generate the HTML report. Fine. So I will do this step by step. Let's follow this. Okay. So I will start with creating a client API. Okay. So private static client API, and I will give it a name API. Fine. Then I will create a method to get instance of API, and that will also make sure that only a single instance is communicating with the ZAP application. Fine. So I will create a method private static client API will be the return type of this, and I will name the method get client. Fine. So in this method, I will check if the API is null, then only configure a new API instance. Fine. So I will check if API equals null, only then API, then I will initiate a new API. Okay, equals new client API. Fine. So in client API, what we'll need? So let's check it. So we will need ZAP address, port, and then API key. Fine. So we have defined in config properties ZAP host, port, and API key. All right. So I will call this with the help of config reader. I have created methods to get these values: ZAP host, ZAP port, and API key. So let's use these methods to get the value. Fine. So all these methods are available under config reader, right? Config reader dot get host. Fine. Next thing, what we will need? We will need ZAP port. Okay. The config reader dot get port. Next thing, we need API key. Fine. Config reader dot get API key. Fine. Okay. Yes. So then once we initiate this, we just return this API. Yeah, API. Fine. Now we will create a proxy configuration for ZAP. Okay. How we will do this? Okay, we will create a method get proxy. And in get proxy, what we will do? Okay, so we need to define the return type and okay, so return type will be proxy. We will be getting proxy from this proxy. Okay, and we will keep this method public and static. Public static proxy. Import class. Okay. Selenium proxy. Okay, so we will initiate a new proxy. Proxy equals new proxy. Okay. Now we will set some HTTP proxy configuration and SSL proxy configuration. So let's do one by one. Proxy dot set HTTP proxy and we need address. Address is a combination of host and port number. Okay, so we have a method for this in our config reader. That is here the proxy address. So that returns the ZAP host and the ZAP port that we have defined in config properties. Okay, so let's get that method used here. And this is under config reader. Config reader. Okay. Config reader. Fine. Okay. Now set the proxy for SSL as well. SSL proxy. Again, what we will need? Same thing. We will need same ZAP proxy address. Okay. Fine. Okay. And this is returning proxy. So what we need to return? We need to return the proxy. Fine. Okay. Now we will create a new active scan. Okay, active scan. How do this? How to do this? Okay, so this active scan get the client API that we have already done, the active scan target. This method that we have to use. Fine. Okay, so we will implement all these. Just follow me. Okay, so now we will create a new method, public static 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 run active scan right, and in active scan we will pass the what URL, the URL in string format, target URL. Target URL. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now client API. Client equals. Yes, get client. We have created this method right here. Get client. Okay, so system.out.print ln starting active. Wow, starting active scan on for plus target URL. Okay, target URL where it is now. Okay, so let's call this API and get the response. Okay, API response equals what? This client dot scan dot scan. Okay, okay, so what we will need? Target URL. Fine, then what this means? URL recurs true. Fine, then in scope only false. Then method post data and scope policy, I have kept these all none. Fine. Scan ID equals response element dot get value. Cannot do response. Okay. And this rest we need to API response element. Fine. Then can we print this scan ID? Okay. System.out.println zap zap active scan started and the ID. Scan ID. Fine. Okay. Now we need to track the progress of this one. Okay. And progress. Now define this to 0. Fine. Define this to 0. Okay. While progress is less than this progress is less than 100. Okay. So what we need to do? Thread.sleep. Thread.sleep. Second. Okay. Then API response. API response status client dot ascan dot status, and then this need to pass this scan ID. Fine. Okay. Now progress. This progress equals integer dot pass int API response element the status as get value. Fine. And then write this system dot out dot print ln zap active progress. Progress nearly percent. Fine. Fine. That will show in percentage. Okay. While it is done, else once it is done, then we need to mark this complete system dot out dot print ln what zap active scan completed for For what? For target URL. Target URL. Okay. Target URL. Target URL. Now,
Alright, so I will take a pause here. We'll continue in the next video where we will see how we can integrate ZAP scanner in our Selenium automation test. Okay, so see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Thank you.